Welcome all in the class of graph theory. Our today's topic is connected graph, disconnected graph and Euler graph. Myself Rupak Bhattacharjee, Assistant Professor, Department of Mathematics, JIS College of Engineering. So now let us get into the discussion of today's topic. Now before entering into the new thing of this discussion, we have some requirement of basic prerequisites on graph theory. So let us have a discussion on that. So the basic terminologies are also important. Here we are getting three basic terminologies. First one is walk, then trail, then path. We have already covered up these things in the last lecture. Still, as we are requiring these things in the discussion of today's topic, we are just going to brush up these things a little more. So if we have a graph like this, then we have some definition of walk, that we have to create one finite sequence of vertices and edges coming sequentially, and the edge within two vertices will be considered in such a way that those vertices are adjacent and that edge is having n vertices of these two. So we are going to show this with some example, and we are also getting some more graphs for the example purpose. Then we are coming to trail, and in this trail we know that it is not allowed to repeat any edge. Next we are having path, and in this case this sequence is not going to be allowed any repetition of vertices as well as edges. Now look at this. We are going to take a graph like this, and let us take the thing in the manner that we have to discuss this one along with the help of this. So let us take one sequence V2 E7. So it is V2, then we are having E7 in this direction, and we go to V5. Okay, then E8, that means we are now going in this direction according to this. Then V1, obviously then it will be in our target destination. Then E8, again we are coming back in this. Our target is to make the sequence vertex and edges coming alternatively, and we just have to maintain this condition. Here the repetition of vertex and the repetition of edges, everything are allowed, just we have to maintain the sequential rule. So now we are again by E8, we are again at V5. So we have this one, this V5, then E6. So then E6 is this one, then V4, so obviously this one, then E5. That means we are now traversing through this self loop. After that again V4 will come, then again we are taking E5, that means we are walking through this particular self loop twice. So again V4 will come and we stop here. So what is this? This is nothing but an open walk, because it is started from V2. We have maintained all the criteria for being a walk, and we ended at V4. It is open ended, so it is an open walk. Now we are taking another sequence. Please concentrate on this one. It is starting from V4. So if I take this one V4, that means again we are starting from this one, this vertex, this is V4, then E5, that means the self loop, then V4 again will come, then E3. So E3 is now this in our way, then V3, that means this one, then E2, we are passing through this particular edge, then V2 will come, then E7, that means this one, this edge is considered. After this E7, then V5 will obviously come, and then E6. So where is our E6? This is one, this is our E6. So E6 is considered, and then V4. What is this? What you have observed that in this particular sequence, we have started from V4, we had ended at V4. We maintained all the criteria of being the vertex edge alternating sequence, and look at this, we can call it as closed walk because starting vertex and the ending vertex is same. Now we are going to consider another one. So let us go through it a little faster manner. It is starting from V1. So where is our V1? This is our V1. Then E8 V5, E8 V5. Then E9 V1, E9 V1. Then E1 V2, then E1 V2. Then E7 V5, E7 V5. E6 V4, E6 V4. E5 V4. According to the self loop, again V4 is coming. Then E4 V4. Another self loop is considered and V4 is again coming. So if you observe it very cautiously, you will see this, that this one is 8, 9, 1, 7, 6, 5, 4. Is there any repetition of the edges? No. So what is this? According to the definition, it is straight. Then we are taking another sequence. It is V2, E7, V5, E6, V4, E3, V3. So it is starting from V2. So this is our V2. Then E7, V5, then E7, V5. Then E6, V4, then E6, this V4. Then E3, V3, then this E3 and this V3. So what you are getting? Something like this one. E7, E6, E3, E7, E6, E3. So what is this? Concentrate. It is your path, because in this sequence no vertex is repeated, so automatically there is no question of repetition of any edges. Next we are considering another sequence, and in this sequence what we are seeing is that it is V2 E7, then V5 E6, V4 E3, V3 E2 V2. So if we start it from, it is started from V2, it is ended at V2. Very good. Now E7 E6. So where is our E7? This is our E7. Then it is our E6. Then E3. Then this is our E3. Then V3 E2. Then V3, this is E2. And then V2. So we have started from V2, we have ended at V2, except the starting vertex and the ending vertex. Nothing is repeated, and you are getting all the edges are distinct. So what is this? This is nothing but a circuit. So these basic terminologies related to walk, trail, path, circuit, these are important for our prerequisite discussion of this topic. So let us move forward. So now we are going to start a connected graph. So before going to the deeper discussion and definition, we must have some clear idea on its pictorial representation. What is stated over here? The walk starting from U and ending at V. So if there is a vertex U and if there is a vertex V, and if you are approaching from U to V through a graph by maintaining the definition of walk, then it is called UV walk in the graph. So if it is UV walk, then obviously it will be UV path, because in walk it can be repeated, but path it will not be repeated. So path is nothing but a subset of work with some required condition. Okay. Now if U and V are connected and V and W are connected, so if U and V are connected and if suppose there is another vertex W where V and W are also connected, then U and W are also connected because you can go from U to W via V. So that is, if there is a UV walk and VW walk, then there is also a UW walk. It is a very basic but very important concept. So if we are considering this particular graph and if we are thinking from A to F and if you are thinking from F to B, then obviously we can go from A to B, it is guaranteed. Even if this edge is absent, then also we can go from A to F, then F to B, that means from A to B. Okay. Now the definition is a graph is a connected one if all the vertices are connected to each other. This is very important to understand. All the vertices, it is important and are connected to each other. So if you are thinking about connection of all the vertices, that means actually you have to consider Vi, Vj, where I and J are from the vertex set V1. If your vertex set is V1, then you have V1, V2, dot 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 Vi, Vj, dot 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 Vn. Then you have to consider any pair from this set Vi, Vj, and for each and every pair there must be a path, and if it is true for a graph, then that graph is called a connected graph. So if you just want to check whether this is our connected graph or not, then you have to check for AB, AC, AD, AE, AF. Parallelly, BA is already considered, so BC, BD, BE, BF and so on. And for every pair, it has to be there. Then only we can call it a connected graph. Clear? So, if we take this graph and if we want to check whether it is true or not for this graph, what we will see? It will also be true for this one. Now, if we want to check for this one also, then also we will see that it will be true. You can check it for your own purpose. We are not taking another graph where vertex and edges are denoted by Vi and Ei. So if we consider now another graph for this one, now initially you have to consider this one as a single graph. This is very important to understand that this is your graph G. Suppose it is your G2 and this is your graph G. This one is your G for this one, and this is for G because this one is considered as G, and look at this is the whole graph starting from V1, then V2, V3, V4, V5, V6, and here you are getting another graph G2. Suppose you want to rename it the vertices, then suppose it is V10, it is your V11, it is your V12, it is your V13, and it is your V14. So here if you consider this graph G2, which is suppose it is V2 E2, then your V2 is nothing but starting from V10, V11, V12, V13, V14. And if you see, if you just want to check whether you want to go from this vertex to this vertex, you can. If you want to go from this vertex to this vertex, you can. But what is required? It is required that if all the vertices are connected, then if you want to go from V10 to V13, can you go by any path, by any means? No. So if you can't go, then it is not a connected graph. It is as simple as that. We have to keep this in our mind. So in the next slide, what we are getting, disconnected graph. So it is very much natural, and you know that in mathematics we are making it very logical, that if it is not a connected graph, you can see that there is a striking through line. If it is not a connected graph, then it is disconnected graph. But let us, we have to discuss, or rather we have to just make our idea on this particular thing a little bit more. So going for the next one, if we take this one, is it a disconnected graph? The answer is no, because you can't identify any pair, suppose A and this blank position, or you can't get any pair for these two blank positions, where you can write a vertex over here, you can write another vertex over here, where there is no path. It is not possible for you to make it for this graph. So it is not a disconnected graph, it is a connected one. So a disconnected graph contains two or more connected graph. So whenever you are going to get the pictorial representation, it will be more clear to you. So this was the example what we had taken in the last slide. Look at this. This is as a whole. This is as a whole a disconnected graph. No problem on that. But if we see this one separately, and if we see or consider this one separately, then this is a connected graph. Similarly, this is another connected graph. Together with it is a disconnected graph, but it will contain, actually for this example, two connected graphs. You can get various examples where disconnected graphs are containing more than one connected graphs. That means it is 2, 3, 4 or any number. So let us test another example. If we take a complete graph, the question is it a connected graph? Obviously it is a connected graph, because you can recall complete graph means a simple graph where every vertex in that graph is connected with all other vertices directly by an edge. My question is, if we take a connected graph, will it be always a complete graph? The answer is, let us check. The answer is no, because look at this. If you take a complete graph, this is your complete graph, because if you consider this vertex is having edges with this one, this one, this one, this one, and this statement is true for all the vertices. So it is a complete graph, and it is also connected because it is having direct connectivity. So there is no question of existence of indirect connectivity, that means more than one edge. It is directly connected by one edge. So if it is a complete graph, it has to be a connected graph. But if it is a connected graph, is it a complete graph? Look at this. Is it a connected graph? Yes. But is it a complete graph? Answer is no, because it is not simple. Or you can think about this. If you take this vertex B and if you take this vertex D, is there any edge like this connecting B and D? No. So it is not a complete graph. Okay, so let us move forward. The new term we are now facing is component. So this term will appear for the context of a disconnected graph first. So a disconnected graph is formed by two or more connected graphs. A disconnected graph is formed by two or more connected graphs. It is clear. Each of these connected subgraph is called a component of the graph. So here, if you consider this one as G1 and if you consider this one as G2, then G1 is a component of G as well as G2 is a component of G. So look at this. If we consider this one as a graph, suppose G star, then this one is G star dash and this one is G star double dash. Both are connected. Sorry, both are, yes, they are connected graph. This one is connected graph, this one is a connected graph, but as a whole they are disconnected graph. So this connected part of this disconnected graph is component. So G star dash is a component of G star. Similarly, G star double dash is a component of G star. So let us move forward. We have already discussed the definition of component. So let us check some more example for this one. We have considered the graph G. This one is G1. This one is G2. This one is G3 and the remaining is G4. Is it a connected graph? All you know that it is not a connected graph, it is a disconnected graph. But G1, G2, G3, G4, are they individually connected? The answer is yes. So what are they? They are component of the disconnected graph G. But now there is a very important question we have to just make it clear to our idea, that is, if we consider this segment, if we consider this segment as G1, this one as G2 and this one as G3. So G1, G2 and G3 will constitute G. G3 is a component of G. Answer is yes. G2 is a component of G. Answer is yes. G1 is a component of G. Answer is no. Why? Because look at the definition. A disconnected graph is formed by two or more connected graphs. Each of these connected subgraphs is called a component of the graph. So this one is connected. This one is connected. If you consider this one as a segment as named as G1, this one is disconnected. So this one can't be treated as a component. Component mainly appeared for disconnected graphs, but in characteristics they are connected. They are connected graphs. It is a very important point to keep it in our mind. Now let us move forward. Every vertex of G belongs to exactly one component of G. So look at this. Here our G contains V1, V2, V3, V4, V5, V6, V7, V8. So every vertex of G belongs to exactly one component. That means you will never get one vertex, suppose V1, which is from capital V1 as well as this V1 is from V2, where V1 and V2 are vertex sets of two different components. It will not be possible. Your single vertex, one of the vertex from G will be a part of one component, and this is exactly. Similarly, every edge of G belongs to exactly one component of G, because it is not possible for you to get E1 in the component of G2 as well as E1 in the component of G4 or G3 or G1. It is not possible. Why not possible? Because E1 is generated by V2 and V3. As V2 and V3 they are present in G2, so it is guaranteed from the first line that V2 and V3 will not be present in any of the other components. So V2 and V3 if absent in other components, then the origination of E1 is not at all appeared. Okay. Next, if the graph G has a vertex V that is connected to a vertex of the component G1 of G, then V is also a vertex of G1. What is this property tells us? This property tells us that we have a graph G and it is having a vertex V that is connected to the vertex of component G1. So let us take as example. Suppose I am taking V6. It is connected in the G4 component. I am taking V6, it is connected with V5 which is in G4 component. So V6 must be in G4. It is an obvious result, because if V6 is connected with V5 which is in G4 and V6 is itself in G3, then G3 and G4 will be non-intersecting, and then it is not possible for us to define the component. It violates the definition and the construction of component. I think it is clear. So next property related to this one is every vertex of G belongs to exactly one component of G. Because every vertex of G belongs to exactly one component of G, so it will be obvious. Similarly, every edge of G belongs to exactly one component of G. So every edge of G belongs to exactly one component of G. This is the coming from this one. Next, so we can get a question. We have this as our graph. We are now considering this one. Then how many components are there in this graph? Obviously, when this component term is coming, we can start thinking of, then we have to count the number of components in a disconnected graph. But unfortunately, this is a connected graph. Then how we can count? So we can count, and without loss of generality, we can claim that this particular graph, which is a connected graph, is having one component, only one. And it is a vice versa rule that if you have a connected graph, then it will be having one component, and if you are having one component in a graph, the characteristics of that graph will be obviously a connected graph. Now one very interesting thing will be shown. A table of all the connected unlabeled graphs with up to 5 vertices. We are taking it up to 5 vertices. You can get in other various resources. I am also taking it from a resource, internet resource, and one textbook, which is already mentioned in the bibliography as well as it is given to the reference sheet. So let us see how beautiful the thing is. This one indicates the number of vertices. And if you are considering the number of vertices is 1, then you are going to get only one representation. Moving forward, if you are considering the number of vertices 2, then this is only possible. Similarly for 3, similarly for 4. Similarly for this one, 3, 4 means the total number of vertices here is 3. Here is also 3, and you are getting this one and this one are present in a single block, in a connected block. That means these two are representing two different structures. Why different structures? Because look at this, the number of edges here is 2, but the number of edges here is 3, though the number of vertices here 3 and 3 same. So this is connected graph with 3 vertices. Now Look at this table is also a single one with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 presentations, and everywhere the number of vertices are 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is fifth representation in this sequence, sixth representation, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, where everywhere you are seeing that it is connected graph with 4 vertices, and ultimately you are stopping. It is a very important observation. You are stopping it here where the graph is a complete graph with 4 vertices. So now it is your job to observe this one very cautiously, and you have to ask. If you have any question, you can post the question to us, that there are 5 vertices and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In this way you can count, and gradually you are going to make it complete when you are having the complete graph with 5 vertices, because after that you can't make it increase. So in the next case, what we are entering into some important observations of fundamental number of a graph. So we are considering the number of vertices n, number of edges e, and the number of components k. They are called fundamental numbers of a graph G, where it will be important and where we are going to use it. First of all, these 3 numbers are independent. Then there are some properties of them. N is greater than equal to k, that means the number of vertices will be greater than equal to the number of components in that graph. Next, the number of edges are greater than equal to n minus k. We are going to show you with examples. And then the fundamental numbers are not alone enough to specify a graph. So we are going to check all these properties, and there are 2 nomenclatures very important for you, but there are very elaborate discussion on this which is not the scope of syllabus under. So we just have to be introduced. We are now introducing ourselves with these particular things, that n minus k is called the rank of the graph, and e minus n plus k is called the nullity of G. So now we are taking this particular graph and we can count this thing. So what we are getting: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We are getting n equal to 6. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, E11 and K1. So n greater than equal to k, it is true. E greater than equal to n minus k, here 11 is greater than equal to 6 minus 1, that is 5. So both are true. So here we can find out the rank and nullity of this graph. Similarly, we are trying to check it for a disconnected graph, and you can just count it, that the number of vertices here is 5, number of edges here is 4, but the number of components are 2, because we are getting 2 connected components for this disconnected graph. Now how to measure this one? The fundamental numbers alone are not enough to specify a graph. So I am taking now the fundamental numbers first. N equal to 5, 4 and 2. N equal to 5, 4 and 2. And we are trying to generate one graph which will satisfy these 3 conditions. So can we generate this one? What we are getting: n equal to 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So okay. E equal to 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. It is also okay. K equal to 2. It is also okay. So this set and this set, both of them are same. So if they are able to specify, the graph, if they are enough to specify the graph, then this graph and this graph has to be same. Are they? It is very much clear they are not. So this example gives us this support to this particular statement. Now we are now entering into another discussion, which is Eulerian graph. Before that, we need Eulerian cycle. So what we are stating, Eulerian cycle can be called as Eulerian circuit, Euler circuit, Eulerian tour, and Euler tour by various names. But important thing is that it is a trail which starts and ends at the same graph vertex. That means if you are starting from a particular vertex in a graph and you are drawing a trail, if it is possible for you to come back at that particular thing, then it is called Eulerian circle. So now let us see the first two things. We have started from this one. Then this one is the first step, second step, third step, fourth step, then fifth step, then sixth step, then we are making it as seventh step in this direction, and then eighth step is at this direction up to this. Then in the ninth step we are taking this one, please follow. Then in the 10th step we are taking this one, in the 11th step we are taking this one, in the 12th step we are taking this one. So in this way we are starting from this particular vertex. You can check it where in the first step only one edge is in blue color, in the second step two different edges are in blue color, in third step three different edges are in blue color, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, 11th, 12th step. When you are at 12th step, you are again back in the initial vertex and all the edges are covered, and they are covered by a single time. If it is possible, then it is okay, and then it will be termed as this, and if it is not possible, then it is not possible, and it is not possible for that particular graph. So this particular property makes some graphs different from some other graphs. So what are they, the name of them? They are called Eulerian graph. So let us check. An Eulerian graph is a graph containing an Eulerian cycle. So let us check this one. If you start from this one, then also you will get this one, then you have to go from this one, and you can check it that if you go for alphabetically, you can start it from A, then you will get B. B means this edge, I am talking about this edge, then C, that means this edge, then D, that means this edge, then E, that means this edge, then F, then G in this edge, then H this one, then I this one, then J this one, and then K. That means you are again coming back at the starting vertex without any repetition of any edges. So we are now going to learn a new term. A network is traversable if you can trace the shape without lifting your pen and without going over a site more than once. Actually, this will remind you a very basic game what you have played with your friends in your school life. Look at this. We are unknowingly actually played, or we have experienced the thing which is the catalyst, you can say, of the birth of a huge important part of mathematics called graph theory. So let us check what is that. Before that, you please follow this information. For a shape to be traversable, if you want to check this one is traversable, all the vertices are of even degree. You can check this one 1 2 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. Look at this, all the vertices. in this graph are even degree, or there are another condition, exactly two vertices are of odd order. Only two vertices can be considered who will be of odd order, and the rest has to be even. So let us check this one. If you take this particular graph, here the vertex A is even 1 2 3 4 5 6, B is even 1 2 3 4, C is odd 1 2 3, and D is also odd 1 2 3. They are, this graph is falling into this category, and this graph is traversable. Now if you take this one, you can count it by your own decision or own observation, that here all the vertices what you are getting are even. So this graph falls into the first category, both are traversable. Now in the next part, what we are getting, this game. This game is a very famous one. It asks us, can we cross each bridge exactly once? That means you can't cross the bridge more than one time. You can't leave the any bridge while you are traversing. So let us start from any graph, any vertex basically, and if we are considering that these regions are considered as vertex A, B, C and D, and the bridges are considered as edges. So if you start it from here, suppose you are coming to this, then you are coming to this, then you can go here, then you can go here, then you can come here, you can go here, then you can come here. But look at this now, here in you are in confusion. One bridge is left, you have not passed through this. If you want to use this, either you have to go in this way, in this particular position, or you have to be in this particular position. But from this B vertex, how you can go to D vertex? There is one way, by this bridge. If you want to go back, then this bridge will be traversed twice. And if you want to go to A, either you have to take this or you have to take this. In this case also, these bridges are already traversed by once, so you have to traverse it more than one. So answer is here. Clear? Because the reason is this, which is not falling into any of these two categories what we got in the last slide, being traversable. Okay, so now at the last part of our discussion of our class, I am giving you one homework for your mind. This is a puzzle. The name of the puzzle is Instant Insanity. This puzzle tells us that there are four cubes whose faces are colored red, blue, green and yellow. Now can we pile them up so that all four colors appear on each side of the resulting 4 cross 1 stack? So it's the problem's pictorial representation is something like that. So if you take for example, suppose this one, so this is a cube actually. This cube is actually open for you so that you can understand, because in 2-dimension diagram it is tough for us to draw a 3-dimension one. So look at this, this is red side, this is yellow, this is green, this is blue. So if you just cross it up, then this green will be perpendicular on this plane, this red will be perpendicular on this plane, and B will be horizontal on this plane, B will be actually parallel to Y, and this R will be perpendicular, this R will be perpendicular, these two are also parallel. So this is a cube. I think it is now clear to you. So these four cubes are there, and cube 1, cube 2, cube 3, cube 4, can we stack it in such a way that the requirement? Please try to think about it, and as you are getting the clue that we are discussing this particular puzzle in the graph theory class, that means it can be possible for us to think about this problem with the help of graph theory knowledge. So nothing more to say for today's class. I'm thanking all of you for giving me this much of time, because we have covered something extra, some more things, some more important things and definitions and examples related to graph theory. So thank you all. Happy listening, happy learning.